Hello, Roxanne. Thank you so much for being here. I am here with Roxanne Bellamy of Roxanne Bellamy Events. She is a planner and designer based out of Miami and DC. And I've invited her here today to talk about mastering the styled shoot. Many wedding professionals use styled shoots, editorial shoots for different reasons, either to be featured in a publication from an editorial perspective. And I really want to challenge people to think about their styled shoots as a way to accelerate their brand and not necessarily to showcase what everybody else is doing or maybe clients' needs, but really to focus on how a really strong styled shoot, whether it's used for your own website and your own branding, whether it's used for an editorial partner, can really be used to accelerate your brand. So Roxanne, talk to us a little bit about how you've done this for yourself in terms of how styled shoots and editorial shoots have, leveled up your brand, what you've been able to accomplish with styled shoots.
Awesome. Of course. Hi, how are you? Happy to be here with you today. So I'm always thinking about evolution or longevity. So I like to use those two words, right? Evolution and longevity. So with regard to that, I ensure that my brand is always at the forefront of everything that I do. So it's what story I want to put out into the universe, what story I want potential clients or potential partners to get when they look at my brand. And so the styled shoot is a great way to do that. So I always do like homework. I always think about the backstory. I'm always thinking about what inspires me. And so for me, it's nature, it's architecture, it's art. And those are the things that inspire me. Fashion, those are the things that I'm inspired and moved by. And so when I think of my business, I don't necessarily want to be like super wedding. I want to be relatable in those other facets of life as well. And so that's when I'm thinking about style shoots, that's what I want to present to the world. That's what I want the universe to pick up, is that it's about the fashion, the art, the lifestyle, the travel, the whatever, all of those words. So yeah, that's it. And then I pull together a team of partners that would fit well within that scope. And so if I'm trying to do something that's more editorial, if that's the look that I'm trying to convey, then I'm not going to necessarily get someone who's light and airy to photograph it. I want to get someone who understands how to capture mood and how to to convey that. So it's emotive. I want my work to be emotive,
feel something,
and so
right?
To feel something. When you're looking at it, you want to be able to feel the passion. And so I want to I'm selecting partners that fit within that that space. And so I think did I answer everything?
I honestly this is the thing that I've noticed about you, and even just hearing you talk, is that to come from this place where you're creating for the sake of creating and creating something that you want to be a reflection of you, it feels like such a liberating experience, as opposed to in our industry, we're often creating for the client, which is what we're hired to do ultimately, but it allows us to take a pause and really think about, what is it that I want to portray? How do I want to make people feel? Branding is about how people feel, right?
And the flip side about that too is the more that you put out in the universe or into this creative space what you want the client to receive, inevitably they're going to come back and say, hey, I loved that thing. And so I would love for my wedding to look like this. And while it's not like a super wedding related thing, I loved blah, I loved your use of mood and light, and it brought me back to like my grandmother who owns a chandelier store. I don't know, but it always comes full circle. And so it's okay to, in evolution, that goes to evolution. When I'm like, okay, I feel like I've satisfied my soul with this particular thing. I'm not afraid to deviate and say, well, now I want to explore this said space. And it's evolution for me, and so that's what the style shoots assist with too, is allowing me to not only play, but also possibly evolve as it pertains to my branding and the clientele that I'm working with as well.
And how has your brand evolved, and like how has have your clients changed, right? Like, because it's
Yeah,
very you have a power to be able to kind of like choose your clients when you figure that out, right?
that's probably one of the things that I'm most proud of
Yeah.
currently, is that I feel like I'm choosing my clientele as opposed to, and not in
Mm.
like a very like elitist way, but I am choosing them because they're
Yeah.
receiving what I'm putting out. So I've been in the industry for about 10 years, and definitely the brand has evolved. So I think when I came into the space, I was just like doing what everyone did. So 10 years ago, it was a lot of uh, vintage furniture, it was a lot of that. So that's
The
when I
shabby
started. A
chic.
lot of the shabby chic, and I did it because that's what everyone was doing. And I was like, well, okay, well, I want to be in this publication to showcase my work. So I'm going to do what all the greats are doing. And I
Mm.
realized that, like, okay, it's fun and I can do it. On the flip side of that, it's like the ostentatious, very like glamorous type of thing, which is
Mm.
fine for whomever, but that doesn't speak to me.
Hmm.
And so while I can do it and while I can do the shabby chic, it just didn't resonate with my soul. And uh,
You are at the
I'm a,
mercy of your clients too, right? Like the clients are coming
well,
with their agenda versus, yeah,
well, then that was what I was receiving, was a lot of the
yeah.
things that didn't sit well with
Mm.
and it's just a matter of personal preference, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that goes back to owning your brand. What I wanted my brand to convey was not, it was just very modern, very clean, very simple, very like
Mm-hmm.
stands a test of time. And I was on a mission to figure out how to hone in on that. And so
Yeah.
over the years, I was able to realize that I didn't have to follow the path that anyone else did. I didn't have to go and look into the magazines and say, well, let me replicate this because this is currently trendy. I I
Mm.
I stood in that purpose, and it was like, hey, it's okay to deviate from the norm. It's okay to hold your space. And
Mm.
it's okay to just like, off the beaten path type of thing, And
Yeah.
so, like I said, architecture, fashion, the
Yeah.
design, like those are the, if Crate and Barrel, like CB2 could be like a wedding, like that would be my baby, because that
Yeah. Yeah.
I love to shop there. I'm
Yeah.
inspired by their catalogs. And so, like that's what I want to put out there. Yeah. So
Yeah. Yeah.
definitely an
And
evolution. And now I feel like the clientele, they come and they're like, hey, I liked this. It's funny because like my living room looks similar to that style of shoot. And I would love to have like a dinner or a dinner party for 50 that speaks like this, like a very like VIP kind of,
yeah.
like dinner party where my guests feel really catered to. Like that's awesome.
Yeah.
Like not, oh, I
Yeah.
want this picture replicated. I want you to create this mood, this atmosphere.
Yeah.
Like, you know?
Yeah. And they're trusting you to create those things for them too. That's the other thing, is that when you're in a place where you're only duplicating what's out there, right? So you're putting together
Yeah.
a shoot maybe because, you feel like you need to feature these sorts of things because everybody else is doing it.
Right.
People are going to come to you as almost like a copy machine, right? And then
Right.
you're at the mercy and the whim of the client's choices. Whereas I know in you, the clients that come to you are saying, Roxanne, we love your creative vision. We see what you do. We see your shoots in action because you feature a lot of your shoots in video as well, which I think is very powerful, like how you put together a shoot. And they see your creative process as you're putting together that vision. And all of a sudden, you have creative control as an artist, which is so much more exciting than just being a copy
Yeah.
machine.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's very powerful to be able to do that. So if someone is new to thinking of style shoots like this, what are some things that they should be doing? You talked about research. What else should they be doing and really rethinking how they've gone about style shoots?
Think about their brand, their message. What are they looking to convey?
Mm-hmm.
I use the word universe. Like what is it that you want the universe to read? Because the thing is, whatever you
Yeah,
put out
yeah,
there, you're going to get that tenfold, right? So
yeah.
what do you want people to see? What do you want them to receive? What do you want them to know about you? And I think that's the first thing.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a little quirky and it's a little bit, like I have friends in the industry who they're like vibrant and it's effervescent and
Yeah,
like it just reads. But if that's what they want to put out there in the universe, then so be
go
it. Go
for it.
forth and do that. But
Yeah.
don't go and do bright and bubbly and colorful if you're super monochromatic and then you cringe every
Mm.
time, like a client comes to you. because that's what's going to happen. You're going to put it out and you're going to get it back. So be very conscious of
Mhm.
what you want to be out there in the universe
Mm.
representing your brand. And
Mhm.
so like that's the first thing. I think a lot of times, and myself included, is when you're starting, you kind of just like do it all. But
Mhm.
maybe it's okay to sit still and really think about the message that you want to
Mhm.
put forth. Then create
Mhm.
that style shoot
Yeah,
with
right, right.
intention,
There's so much work
right?
that goes into it before
It is. It's
before picking out
nuanced.
dresses, and yeah,
Right.
totally.
That's the last, that's the end, plan. It's like working backwards. So,
Yeah,
you know, what's that end result? And thinking about
yeah.
that. And that's not the cute stuff, right? That's not the fun. The fun comes at the end. But the first things first is like, how is it going to like help your business, or is it going to be a hindrance to your business? I
Yeah.
feel like I'm talking with my hands. I'm a very like handsy
I
talker.
know,
So let me
me
sit
too.
on
It's
them.
okay. It's good
I'm
to be
like,
jazz hands.
yeah, so working like backwards is like a good way too. Thinking about the story. I'm an English major, and I think like one of my favorite like lessons was storyboarding. And
Oh,
I
that's why
create
you're so good
story
at this.
I
Yes.
I create storyboards a lot,
Oh,
and I'm
yeah.
talking like it's characters, it's development, it's like the setting. I am that person. So
Oh,
I'm like
that's what it
legitimately
is.
creating like
Yeah,
storyboards to like
yeah,
convey that message. But it helps, and it really like
yeah.
it helps me to sift through a lot of the noise also.
Mhm.
Like, yeah, I love this, it's cute, but does it help you to like tell this story?
Yeah,
So
yeah. Well, and that's why the images that co-produce with your partners are so powerful emotionally. And this is where a lot of people miss the mark with branding. They see branding as like a logo, a website. I'm just slapping it up there with some pretty colors and some fonts. But the reality is that branding is an emotion that you evoke from somebody else, right?
right, right.
And you've done such a great job at that. What would you recommend to non-planner designers? Because typically in a style shoot or an editorial shoot that's at least done for weddings and events, you have a designer or a stylist putting details together with a photographer and sometimes a videographer as well. What
Right.
about the other segments of event producers like stationers or rental companies or even venues? How can they utilize styled shoots and editorial shoots to accelerate their brand or level up their branding?
So, like to clarify, you're talking about working in tandem with a planner or a creative
Yeah,
as well,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Or even a stationer who wants to, um, you know, feature certain, designs that maybe aren't being featured. How can they use a styled shoe in
Yeah.
an event where you would be, styling them? How can they be benefiting from this as well?
So a couple things, right? So
Yeah.
first, speak up.
Mhm.
I love it when like creative partners suggest things to me, something that I wouldn't
Mhm.
think about, because you want everyone to feel valued,
Mhm.
and you want everyone's work to shine. And
Mm.
it's only going to make you look better, right? So I
Mhm.
definitely want to hear that creative input, like, oh, did you think about like heat stamping leather, and like having like a deboss, and I don't know, texture, and
Yeah.
I'm like, girl, yeah, tell me that story. I love it. Like I'm
Totally.
excited because I don't that's not my world, that's not my ministry, so I don't
Uh-huh.
know that, right? Additionally, like I'm not opposed to them bringing 5 sets, and we like capture their 5 sets and style it, even
Yeah.
though it's not like like the thing that's happening in that
Yeah.
moment. But like everyone is partnering, and everyone should get something.
Yes.
Like everyone should feel like they're walking away empowered.
Mm.
Like
Mhm. Mhm.
their brand is shining in some regard. And
Mm.
so think about, if I were a photographer, I were a stationer, I would definitely come with like, not my list of demands, but
Yeah.
like, this is what will help me.
Yes.
This is what my time is worth. Like, I will
Yes.
partner with you. I will give you these things, but this is what I need to in return. And
Yeah.
don't be afraid to list it, because like the planner designer, we need you too. So,
Yeah.
list
Yeah.
those demands. Like I said, I want everyone to be happy. So I come in and I always say, how can I you know,
Oh,
what is it going to be worth for you to partner with me? Because I understand time, I understand resources. Is it
hmm
that I need to contribute financially? You know, like
yeah, yeah.
what is it? You know, and that's evolution, that's time. Before I thought everyone was at my mercy and it was like, oh yeah, just partner because, you know, blah blah blah. But no, like time and resources. So
hmm
why should I
hmm
stop working with my clients to
Mm-hmm.
give you, you know, free stationery
Yeah,
or
yeah,
floral design or whatever it is? So
yeah.
speak up,
They
have your
need to
list of
have a
demands.
buy-in to the end result is really what it
Buy-in.
comes to. Yeah.
That's it. That's the man, that's a word.
It's
That's a
emotional
phrase. It is a
buy-in, right? Like
buy-in. It is.
it's
It
not just
is.
the cost of producing the sample of the stationer or the
No,
floral centerpiece.
no, yeah.
It's not the it's the emotional buy-in that I buy
But
into the
yeah.
shoot and I recognize
hmm
that this is gonna be good for my brand to be featured
Yeah.
on, you know, Muna Lucci or images from my
Wherever.
website or
Yeah.
whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah. And don't be afraid to say no too. Like for
Right,
other
right.
persons, like if it doesn't fit
Yeah.
with your aesthetic or your projection, like I've been told no and I'm sad sometimes, but I get it. You know, like
hmm
we're booked for quarter
hmm
three. I'm sorry, you know, maybe quarter one of the following year. And then you have
Yeah.
that, to reach out to that person. But I've said no to shoots as well. You know, photographers have reached out and I'm just like, I like what you're doing, but it doesn't work with my brand. Um,
Yes.
your story is for and here's another planner that can give you that story
Yeah,
as opposed to
totally.
me because it's not where I see my brand,
Yeah.
in tomorrow or in a
Yeah,
few
yeah,
years or whatever it is. So yeah.
yeah. I love that. Well, thank you so much for talking with us, Roxanne. Roxanne is one of our stage coaches. You can book her, and she is going to show you how to do this for your own business, how to use a style shoot. I know a lot of people right now are looking internally to think
Yeah.
of how they can level up their brand. We've gone through 2020 and we don't want to carry all the bad news from 2019 or 2020 with us. And we're really trying to think of how to find better clients, get paid for the work we do, and really thinking about the imagery that you put out there is super important to this marketing and this
Correct.
branding message that we're thinking about right now. So hire Roxanne to work through a coaching session with you. You can book her at bsageconsulting.com/Roxanne. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your wisdom with
My
us.
pleasure. My pleasure.
All right, bye.
Thanks.